What's up, guys? This is Ray. So today's the 21st of March, 2017. Today's Mars Day, so that would be Tuesday. And it's supposed to be my weekly horoscope time. Not today, actually 2 days ago. What are you doing? Get down. It's obviously Aries season now. Nino is making that very apparent. Let's go over the weekly transits right now, because I put this off for way too long, and it's not anybody else's problem but mine, and I should have prepared way before now, right? Right. So today, obviously, it's the 21st. It's Mars Day. So just for the sake of being thorough, I will go from Mars Day to Mars Day. So this will be the 21st through the 28th. So this will essentially be the first week of Aries season that I will be covering for transits. Okay, so as of 3:38 a.m. on the 20th of March, so that was Monday, we went into Aries season. I talked about this, I believe, my last day on Monday, for the previous weekly transit, that we're going to be going into more of a, because where's the moon at? Oh, the moon's in Sagittarius, actually, at this moment. Okay. So, essentially, last week, I mentioned something about how we're going to be going into Aries season with Capricorn as the moon. Okay, so right there. So, when we're already 4 hours into Aries season officially, we have the moon go into Capricorn. So, that would explain some things. So initially I said that we were going to be having some sort of lack of empathy or understanding, especially since not only Venus is in Aries right now, but it's retrograde, and it's having a tense kind of vibe going on with Jupiter in Libra, which is also retrograde, and then continually having some aspects with Black Moon Lilith. So, we actually have, the moment that Aries season started, we had a fire moon going on, which would explain people feeling explosive, temperamental, or impulsive, because that just, kind of emphasizes that. But again, what I kind of explained with it going into the Capricorn moon, it will still have that kind of callous or disconnected vibe between relating with other people or relationships in general, right? Which will continue to be a theme that people will feel with Venus being retrograde until mid-April. And then Jupiter in Libra will go direct in June. So essentially, even though obviously Venus retrograde will be over in April-ish, May, I think it's May actually, you'll still feel some of like a similar vibe until Jupiter goes direct as well, because it has so many, it being in Libra has so many different ties, obviously, to Venus, that it almost feels like it's a double whammy. Okay, so, let me see. What house was... Okay, so the moment that we started Aries season, so for the sun, obviously, it was in the second house. So the second house has to do with relationships. So this kind of just goes back into, wow, okay. So here's another way that it just reinforces kind of what I was saying with the energy pattern, or, the influence between Jupiter and Venus, and us going into the overall, like after a couple hours into Aries season, us going into the season with an Earth moon or a Capricorn moon, which would be somebody who lacks empathy or lacks, compassion or understanding for other people. So, Aries in general, I mean mine, they have, their biggest challenge in life is to not only look at things from the perspective of other people, but they have so much issues looking outside of themselves, because they have tunnel vision and they're usually fixated on one topic, which usually the topic for them is I, me, mine. That they will usually be pursuing things and be thinking of themselves first, and that's why they're notorious for being self-centered. And sometimes, inconsiderate. That'd be the negative kind of connotation with that. So, with it being in the second house, everybody's going to be fixated on their own priorities, their own values, their own goals, their own resources. So, yeah, long story short, that pretty much just echoes everything that's going on right now. For example, the reason why I'm so obsessive and compelled to make sure that I'm consistently available, specifically I guess you could say with this video online, is because I usually take the initiative to put other things before my own personal needs, priority-wise. That's just the way that my chart's laid out. I have a lot of planets on the other's side, so when you look at the wheel in quadrants or whatever, if you have more planets on, like, you know, the side where the self house is, then you're more self-oriented. If you have planets on the other side, then you're more others-oriented. If you have them all on the top, more or less, meaning that you have more of your planets that were above the ascendant line, then you're more of an extroverted kind of person, or you're involved with things on the outside world. If you have most of them on the bottom, then you're more internal, or you're an introvert, and you're more focused on the internal kind of mechanics of things. That doesn't necessarily mean that you're self-centered, but that means that everything that affects you or is important to you are things that people can't see. Okay, so then that's kind of just looking at the wheel. I'm just going to jump right into the calendar, because I think I kind of emphasized on everything I need to. Okay, so I'm going to pick up where I left off. I'm just going to go over the actual calendars from the 21st, which is today, to the 28th, which will be next Tuesday. And I'm not going to steer away any further than that, because I really am being pulled to talk about something else that correlates with some of the things I mentioned in the previous weekly horoscope, and also is kind of building on to the series in Taurus conjunct Mars, the Malefic Motivational Mars video that I did. But I'm going to just stick to this, and then I will, you know, go on a tangent or whatever the hell I want to do in another video. Because I looked at the transits going on right now, and Pluto and the Moon are conjunct right now, and I'm a Plutonian, first and foremost, and then also I have Pluto in the same house, or at least, you know, within orb, transiting over my natal Neptune, which is going to cause me to have some Piscean kind of paranoia thing, and that's more or less like the tangent that I want to go on. And yes, it does have some, you know, some valid points, and it is worth checking out. And that's not just me trying to promote my own stuff. It's, yeah. But I don't want to make that specific time frame right now all about the weekly transit horoscope thing, because that's not what this particular segment is about. So let's just start with Tuesday. We had the Moon go into Capricorn today, and so we have just like a reset button or a refresh kind of thing with all the planetary aspects, because we're transitioning into a new sign for the ether moon. So we have, it's a time for spiritual renewal. You have the ability to view your life in a new light. Saturn influencing us, that we've reached a significant turning point in our life journey to cast off childish notions and proceed with honor. Jupiter's influencing us to enter a new cycle in our lives. Notice the signs of new growth. Take that with a grain of salt. Jupiter's retrograde. Don't jump into that. I actually advise against that. Mars sextile Midheaven would be a beneficial time for you to improve your professional life. And it's survival of the fittest right now, whether in the sports field or workday life. Be productive rather than destructive. It's Mars Day. That's pretty self-explanatory. Bliss, you seem to delight in everything and everyone right now. Take pleasure in harmony while it lasts. That's supposed to be a Venus influence, since Venus is retrograde. It also continues to have, not only it being Aries, but it having aspects with Lilith and stuff, and opposition with Jupiter. That's not a good idea. Don't expect it to be blissful. With Mercury influence, there'll be effective communications, talks, calls, the overwhelming urge to make connections, or to do engage in transportation, commuting, or exchanging of something or agreements. Everybody's going to be feeling the intensity of that, because we're well into Mercury in Aries. It's actually at 15 degrees right now. Then the Sun's influencing you to feel like you're in control and feeling good, and this is the time to impress those of authority, unless you happen to step on the kind of sentimental feelings or whatever of those in authority, which is always possible, especially with how brash and impulsive people are in Aries season. Don't go too far with that. And then we go into the following day, the 22nd, which will be Mercury Day, Wednesday. We're going to be having an ingress from Capricorn to Aquarius for the Moon. And then we have a semi-square with Mercury to the North Node. It says that the best plans will go awry right now. Have patience because you're learning new skills. All good things come to those who wait. That's easier said than done for it being Aries season. Then we have a quincunx between the Sun and the North Node. It is important to face the truth. What is really important and what do you have to change in order to move forward? That goes into a lot of the divide with the eclipses, the solar and the lunar, that lined up with the North and South Node. If you want more of a detailed about that, if you go watch like my eclipse video, as well as can't remember, it was just a recent video I did where I talk more about like the stresses going on between those polarizations. Then we have Venus opposition the ascendant. It's time to fall in love, whether with someone new or renewing your love for your spouse. Enjoy pleasurable pastimes. I actually wrote down a little bit of notes here. So, as I mentioned earlier in the video, Aries, the Sun being in Aries, us being in Aries season, will start off its energy within the second house on the 21st, which is today. So when we have the moon going into Capricorn as it is right now, and then as it transitions into Aquarius, which will be roughly Tuesday through Friday, that's a great time actually, as I said in my Jupiter and Venus retrograde video, to pursue couples therapy or counseling, or for people who are having disconnects or issues with their relations. Right now is actually a great time because the moon is associated with your emotions. And with Capricorn and Aquarius, the two things that, the thing that those two have in common, is they're more detached from their feelings. And so they won't be emotionally as vulnerable. So right now is a great time to talk objectively about things that have been, kind of wounding you emotionally or making you feel emotionally detached or, distant from whoever you're talking about. So it's a great opportunity to engage in objective discussions about unresolved feelings and relationship issues. And yeah, that's all I have for that. Then we have, again, Mercury semi-square the North Node, square the Moon. So it's the same emphasis with plans will go awry right now. And then it adds an emphasis of feeling nervous or anxious. Apply positive thinking techniques and things will seem brighter. So if you did take the initiative with my suggestions to engage in like therapeutic kind of self-help things or meditation or calming things in some of my previous transit videos, then this is the time for you to implement those specifically. The fact that we're going into an overcharged Aquarius moon on Mercury Day, and Uranus is also in Aries, it's going to make people feel even more erratic. And then we have the moon, quincunx, the North Node. It's important to face the truth and what's really important, so it's overemphasizing what I already mentioned. Then we go into Thursday, we're going to still have the moon in Aquarius. And then we have Mercury squaring Pluto, mental intensity, troubled mind, passive-aggressive argument, persuasive speech, craftiness, strategy, paranoia. So what I was just saying I'm going to talk about in another video, again, me being 2 days ahead of everybody, I'm feeling that right now. So my next video essentially will have, that's the overall theme as to what the vibe is going to be. Of course, unfortunately, I can't be, having delusions with paranoia and be wrong, like most people. Unfortunately, they've been right. So that's why I emphasize them. Maybe you should take a look at it. If you're not interested in that, that's totally cool. That's why I'm trying to keep them separate, because there's some people that are completely turned off by that kind of mentality or narrative of mine, and then some people that specifically are geared to that and want to listen to that. So I'm just trying to make sure that I'm covering all the bases and acknowledging all my audience and everything like that. So then we have a semi-square with the Mars to Chiron. Love, pain, and the whole goddamn thing. Take the time to heal rifts and direct your energy more positively. The rewards will be bountiful. So that's more or less on Thursday, being more motivated to start pointing out the things that have kind of wounded you in relationships kind of thing, or wounded you in general. And then we have another emphasis on the mental intensity, troubled mind, passive-aggressive arguments, persuasive speech, craftiness, and strategy and paranoia, which means that it's going to be even more intense. That just kind of makes sense with it being the moon in Aquarius. That kind of does that. Yeah. Then Friday, we're still going to have the moon in Aquarius. We're going to have another semi-square with Chiron to Mars, and then an opposition between Mercury and Jupiter. Ooh, awesome. So love and pain and the whole damn thing re-emphasized yet again. Time to heal rifts and direct your energy to more positive things. And mentally pushing your limits, over assimilation, interest in learning and travel, overconfident judgments and opinions. Okay, and that's emphasized twice. Okay, so let's jump into Saturday. So Saturday will go from an Aquarius moon to Pisces. The only major transit thing we have going on for this calendar would be a conjunction between Venus and the Sun. So this will emphasize more of the my, me, mine kind of thing. So this is an auspicious time for love and affection. Yeah, right. Enjoy the company of your nearest and dearest. Enjoy the company of yourself is how that translates, because apparently this calendar forgot that we're in Aries season. And that Venus is obviously in Aries as well. So you can try to enjoy the company of your nearest and dearest, but you all are going to be so busy in your own world that don't take it personally if you guys are a little bit detached from each other's empathy or feelings. And with it going into Pisces for the moon on Saturday, this conjunction between the Sun and Venus is going to definitely hurt people's feelings more or less when they realize that nobody cares about them personally except for themselves. Yeah. Sunday the 26th, the moon will still be in Pisces. We'll have a conjunction with Mercury to Uranus. Oh gosh. And then an opposition with the the Sun and the Ascendant. So intensity of mind, experimental attitude, expression of radical or unusual viewpoints, technical interest or inventiveness. That's double emphasized with it being mentioned twice. Then the opposition between the Sun and the Ascendant. Right now you shine in relationships, so focus on marriage or business union of your dreams. I would suggest the business end of that. Obviously this is a time for you to be more open and emotionally available per se, with the moon being in Pisces at least, to try to make amends, but just don't dig yourself too deep. Don't go over the top with your expectations or other people's don't have over exaggerated expectations of other people specifically too. It's not going to be as healing and benefic as that tries to insinuate. So for Monday, the 27th, Moon Day, we'll have Pisces moon go into Aries, and then we're going to have a couple of different major aspect patterns going. So we have Mars sextile Neptune, semi-square Saturn. Then we're going to have the North Node quincunx the Sun. And then again, we're going to have the Mars Neptune sextile square Saturn emphasized. And then we're going to continue on, like we did from Saturday into this, with a Sun conjunct Venus. So the desire to escape is strong, perhaps inspired by a wonderful project or person, or maybe you are tired. Don't push, take some quiet time, and have faith that all will be well. Discipline and endurance are required now. Resist the urge to control, accomplish what you can. Any delays are likely to be fortuitous. Anytime. Hi, how are you? Okay. I guess... whatever. The North Node, the quincunx the Sun, apparently doesn't care to tell me what's going on. This is an auspicious time for love and affection. Enjoy the company of your nearest and dearest. Again, I don't know about that one. Then, as we go into Mars Day, yet again, this is the last day for this transit overview. We will have the moon obviously still in Aries, and the only major aspect pattern we have going on is the Sun square the midheaven. It is time to balance your private and public life. Yes, that's the emphasis with that. Now let me go ahead, because I obviously did that with the generated thing. Let me look at what's going on here that it didn't cover. Days. Okay, so one thing that it doesn't emphasize here with the transits is that Lilith, obviously being at 4 degrees of Sagittarius, it's now going to be trine with not only Venus, which is going to definitely put some strain on people trying to resolve their relationship issues, but it's also now trine with the Sun, and it's trine with Pallas as well. So some people will feel that they want to get back at their partner. And some people will perhaps maybe take the initiative with that and hopefully try to heal things, because Chiron in Pisces isn't too far behind Pallas, and they'll use that as an initiative to try to move forward and take the initiative with the Aries kind of vibe in their life. As of the 22nd, which will be tomorrow, we have Mars at 9 degrees in Taurus, and we have Ceres at 15 degrees in Taurus as well. I talked about the the pros and the cons with that in my Ceres and Taurus video that I recently uploaded to my transit and horoscope section on my YouTube channel. Let's see what else. 26. We're going to continue to have that trine with Black Moon Lilith to Venus, Pallas, and the Sun until the 25th, Saturday. And then once we hit the 27th, Monday, the Sun will officially be out of orb to no longer be in a trine with Lilith, which will be good, because then Lilith won't be influencing the self or the individual to act out on the kind of ideations that she's trying to plant into people's minds. And also locally for this too, we already have at this point Mercury in Aries at 25 degrees, which is well far away from this Lilith influence. And then another thing I want to highlight, it did mention it in the transits as well, on the 26th, Sunday, and so between Saturday the 25th into the 26th and then the 27th, we're going to have a conjunction between Uranus and Mercury in Aries, which, think about this, the Uranus-Pluto square. So we still continually are having squares, or at least residual squares, with Pluto and Uranus, and that's caused a lot of people to be mentally erratic, unstable, act out impulsively, have kind of psychopathic or antisocial tendencies, which would be people acting out kind of like their serial killer personas, more or less, or, how do I explain this without making it sound like it's super bad? I don't think there's any way I can do that. In fact, yeah, so, yeah. If you just go look at the news and you see there's a continuous theme of random, spouses attacking family members, or this and that, or, just some freaking thing, like, why would somebody do something like that? That is directly caused because of Uranus square Pluto, and with it in a T-square with Jupiter. And so when Mercury is conjunct with Uranus, that's going to make it even more, not even just more probable, but it will increase people's ideations to be influenced by this T-square manifestation. And another thing too I wanted to highlight, so there's a grand trine. It actually had Mars involved in it last week, but there's a grand trine between Eris, Eris and Saturn and the North Node. So that's essentially going to be sabotaging efforts to get things done. It doesn't necessarily emphasize on who is supposed to be the one sabotaging things, but just be well aware that when you're feeling like you're having like a block or something like that, or something's, delaying things for you or sabotaging your efforts or motivations, it's directly because of that. There's a grand trine going on with Saturn right now. So Saturn being a cock block, more or less, that's how I described it in one of my other videos the other day. Sorry if that terminology kind of offends you. It's just supposed to be a metaphor. It's going to block your capacity to move forward with things. And, yeah. I think that's all I really need to emphasize with that. I'm going to go, because this is really long. I'm sorry. I will go into my paranoid, Plutonic, Neptunian kind of things in another video.
Is there someone there who cares for God-forsaken souls and God-forsaken man? Is there someone there